we're going to talk about a stakeholder analysis. So we've laid out our project charter, we've put together a scope statement, and again, the project charter and the scope statement will be expanded, and we'll put a lot more information in there as we move through the project and gain more information to put into those two areas. But one of the things key to all of this is going to be the stakeholders, and we need to analyze these. So stakeholder analysis, it's a technique to systematically gather and analyze information about our stakeholders. What does it start to look like? Well, we're going to look again at our example, and we're going to talk about specifically one of the stakeholders here. We're going to take a look at stakeholder analysis matrix. For some reason, when PMI came out with their new edition of the PMBOK, they got rid of this chart. This chart is still explained in the new version of the project management body of knowledge, but the chart actually isn't in there anymore. So this is a reference from a previous version. Let's take a look at an example on our stakeholder analysis matrix here. We're going to talk about the homeowners along the streets that come into the stadium. Why are they listed on here? They're listed on here because they're definitely going to be affected by this project. Traffic is going to be affected to the point that it's slower, or sometimes they won't even be able to get in and out of their places because the traffic is so heavy, there's no way for them to get in and out. We don't want these people to be inconvenienced too much. We don't want them to be too bothered by people and cars all along the way. But if they live by the stadium, they're going to have some stadium noise. That we're going to try and keep the inconvenience to a minimum. Do these people have a high interest, low interest, high level of power, low level of power on this project? This little box that we have out here, every stakeholder will have a mark in one quadrant of this box, not every quadrant. Where will these people be? We'll say, you know, they might have high interest. Yes, they do. Definitely high interest. And as a group, they probably have pretty high power. They can put a lot of pressure on the university, a lot of pressure on the city. They can, if they come together as one group, they can have a big say in what goes on around here with traffic in and out of the stadium. How are we going to work with these people? There's a number of things that we can do with these people. Okay. So one of them, we can just involve them, get their input all along the way. Another thing we can do, address any kind of concerns they have at all. We're going to give them regular status reports along the way. One thing that some universities do, and some towns do, say, well, you know, why don't you go ahead and we'll just allow you to park cars in your yard on game days so people can make a little bit of extra spending cash on game day. Another thing that some places have done is they said, okay, every game, everyone within a certain radius of the stadium will give you 2 complimentary tickets for every single game. There's a number of different ways we can start to work with this group of stakeholders. What we're trying to do is figure out who are the stakeholders, who are the key stakeholders we have to really work with. Anybody who has high power, we have to work with. Anybody who has high power and high interest, we really have to work with. And other stakeholders we have to work with all along the way. But if we have some that are real low power and low interest, they don't really much care about this, they don't have any power over this project, we probably don't have to work with them very much. They might not really be on our list of stakeholders that we're dealing with on a regular basis throughout the project. Who are the stakeholders? Why are they on this stakeholder list? What's their power interest level? And how do we work with them? If we put this list together, we can keep ourselves as project managers out of a lot of trouble. If you forget some of your key stakeholders along the way, in the middle of the project, all of a sudden they surprise you and you've got some problems on your hand. Let's get this analyzed up front and be ready for things that come along. Let's add another stakeholder, the university president. On a sheet of paper, write down why you think the university president is interested in this thing, their level of power and interest, high or low for each one of those, and how would you work with the university president along the way. Here's what we might have come up with. University president, we have a couple of reasons that they're interested in this. Definitely high power and high interest. And we're going to work with them in a number of ways. One of the things, they're going to want constant information. We may be able to meet with them face to face, but probably not. They may never want to see your smiling face at all. They don't want to see that. All they want is the Friday status report on this project just to know how things are going. They don't want to know what you look like. They just want to know what's going on with the project. So we just figure out, do we get to meet with them? Do we just provide a status report? Do we meet with somebody from their staff? How are we going to work with the university president? We'll need to get some information from the president or the president's office. We'll need to give them information along the way. So how are we going to do that? We have session 1 just finishing up. Now we're going to do session 2, 3, and 4. So thank you, and see you back here again soon.